I thought this was a fun topic. I was reading this morning, getting ready for all the prep. By the way, Buck will be back with me Monday. He's in the Highlands through the weekend with his family, so he's texted me that he's met a lot of you, and so thanks for everybody who's being super kind to him. And thanks, by the way, to Extra 106.3, our Atlanta, Georgia area affiliate. I'm going to watch the Atlanta Braves with my family for the weekend. It has not been a great season. I know that Ian Miller is a big Dodgers fan. It has been a good Dodger season. Maybe he wants to talk trash about that. But I was reading your piece this morning as I was getting ready, Ian. And Ian writes at OutKick, owned by Fox News now, but that I founded. And Ian, my kids love, and my family has long loved, all the superhero movies. I've got 3 boys. I've seen every superhero movie in the theaters. It feels like to me Avengers Endgame happened, and it was the 2-part finale, and frankly, it was pretty fantastic. I loved it. It was really well done. And ever since then, people have basically decided superhero movies were finished with them. Is that a bad take, fair take? How would you analyze this? And what is American response to these movies in your mind telling us about the larger culture?
Well, first of all, always happy to talk trash about the Dodgers beating the Braves whenever necessary. But as far as the superhero movies go, I think you're exactly right. After Avengers Endgame, there's this dramatic shift, and I think you can kind of point it to Marvel completely changing their philosophy of what characters they wanted to present, how they wanted to present them. So you can go back and look at the list of movies they've released since 2020. It's things like Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals, Ant-Man 3, The Marvels, things like that. And they flopped. I mean, it's been one disaster after another. There's been a couple of successes mixed in there, but for the large part, it's been really these movies that have just not done very well. And I think they've kind of had these check boxes of targets they wanted to hit, people they wanted to target these movies to, and it hasn't panned out. And I think that there is this fatigue now, and people have really kind of tuned them out in the American culture. And then people are sick and tired of going to the movies, not knowing if they're going to get some kind of unexpected political lecture in what's supposed to be a summer fun popcorn movie.
Have you seen the newest Superman?
I haven't. Actually, no, haven't seen it.
I haven't either. My wife and youngest son went and watched it, and they said that it was not particularly woke, but James Gunn, the director, said that the movie was political before he came out. He said it was an immigration story, so he said, of course, it's political. And I think it stripped a lot of what otherwise would have been maybe positivity for the movie away. And you dove into the math, because a lot of people don't dive into the math. You're a smart guy. The reason I first became aware of you was you were pointing out the math of you live in L.A. and how COVID was absolutely handled in just an indefensible manner by California. And we may circle back on that in a sec. But what is the math on Superman? It's headed for losing money, even though most people aren't really breaking it down.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head again with Gunn's comments. It was just so unnecessary and bizarre. And I think even though the movie wasn't particularly political, it made it political. And, it hasn't done that poorly domestically, but what we've seen is that, maybe if it cost itself, maybe there were 2 million people that were going to go see it, were on the fence and didn't because of what Gunn said. Well, that's 2 million people that didn't buy $20 movie tickets and so on and so forth. And it adds up over time. And right now, where it's tracking is it's probably going to lose somewhere around the 70 to 80, $100 million globally, because the production budget is so high, the advertising budget is so high. It had to make around $700 million globally to break even. It's not going to do that. And when you adjust for inflation, it's done significantly worse than Man of Steel, which was kind of the last big Superman movie that came out, which was 2013. So it's an unnecessary comment that I think turned people off to seeing it that were otherwise had no reason not to go see it.
I talked earlier, Ian, about the culture of sports. We talked to Grant Napier, who was out in California where you live, lost his job for simply saying all lives matter, every single one. Certainly, there's been a great deal of discussion about Sydney Sweeney. I don't know if you've happened to see all of the SEC sorority recruitment videos that are going wildly viral now, including very patriotic ones. Even living in California, do you sense that we have seen a profound cultural shift, or are you skeptical?
No, I definitely do think there has been a cultural shift, and it's especially among, I think, younger generations that you had for so many years this kind of political movement, the woke, for lack of a better word, that wanted to like stamp out fun and just being able to enjoy yourself without apologizing for it. And I think the younger generations have finally tuned that out. I think there was about a 10 to 15 year window where people were kind of listening to that, and now people are tired of it, and thank God for it. And I think that's part of the reason why these movies have failed. And once you kind of lose the benefit of the doubt of the consumer, it's very hard to get it back. And that cultural shift is part of it. People have changed how they view movies, how they view entertainment, what they want to get out of entertainment. And when you're not providing that, you're not going to do well. And that's what we've seen.
2028, it's early. We may still end up with Gavin Newsom against Governor Ron DeSantis. It does feel to me like that is the most evidently opposite political perspectives from a gubernatorial perspective right now, right? What Florida did during COVID, the way that they have run their state, what California did during COVID, the way that Gavin Newsom has run his state. As someone living in California, are more people acknowledging that Gavin Newsom got it wrong when you're moving around in social circles? Or do you think people in California now, rather than admit they got things wrong, are just pretending COVID never happened and moving on? What is the vibe there?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a mixed bag where there are some people that are just pretending it never happened, but there are a number of people that kind of were on the political left that have acknowledged, we got this wrong. And I think Newsom's approval ratings have been underwater, even in California, one of the most hardcore blue states, because he's done such a bad job. And that contrast could not be more stark with COVID, but it's also with everything. Like, if there's a natural disaster in Florida, Ron DeSantis has got everything prepared ahead of time. The response is immaculate. It's immediate, and things are fixed quickly, and people are back up and running within a matter of days. In California, we have just this spectacular incompetence where everything is slow. Nothing gets done quickly. The responses are never planned ahead of time. Obviously, we had the disastrous fires in LA in January, and the recovery has been a train wreck. And it's just that exemplifies what has happened with Newsom in California and the failure in blue states compared to what we've seen in Florida.
Ian, appreciate the work. Tell people how they can find you out there, but good stuff on diving into the math behind some of these movies and continuing to fight for basic sanity when it comes to data.
Oh, thanks for having me, Clay. Yeah, I'll write an OutKick every day, and on Twitter, just Ian MSC. Thanks a lot for having me.